Hello everyone and welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Ads Lyson. If you want 15% off your surfing and outdoor gear, look no further. Go to Northcore on the internet and use the code, capital letters, GS Podcast to receive 15% off your purchase. Also, a quick shout out to the Poles F clothing company who are blazing the way with sustainable surf clothing here in the UK. Check them out on Instagram and on their webpage. The link will be in the podcast bio. On the podcast today, I have a surfing maths teacher from the northeast of England. She started surfing late whilst on holiday in Australia, and she is now one of the UK's best female longboarders and chargers in big waves. Please enjoy my conversation with surfing teacher Emily Grimes. Emily Grimes, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm pretty good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely no problem whatsoever. A couple of questions for you. Have you been surfing today, and what else have you done today?
Yes, I have been surfing today. I went at first light. Basically there was a good swell forecast for today, and I would have liked to go somewhere an hour north. However, I decided to do the responsible thing, not risk getting £1,000 fine or losing my job, and decided to stay local. And obviously because I'm socially responsible. Anyway, so I wasn't sure where to surf. I was just going to kind of get in first light at the beach and then just kind of drive around the reefs a bit later. So I got in first light at the beach for like an hour. It was freezing, but it was pretty nice. And then I was working from home through the day. But that also involved driving between the reefs at regular intervals, probably racked up quite a few miles on my car, literally just driving within a 5-mile radius, goose chasing. And then I didn't end up getting back in until about 3:30 after driving between all the spots, going back to where I started, back to the other end, back to where I started. And then I got in at the beach again because the reefs just weren't really working.
How was it?
It was really fun, actually. The beach this morning was all right, but I was just like overwhelmingly cold, and I was thinking how good it was going to be later. So like I wasn't really like enjoying that surf as much as I should have been, although it was really good. But I was just like thinking about how good it was going to be later, which it wasn't. And then by the time I got in later, I just had chased my tail all day. And then I took my longboard out, which is like a 9.6 log, heavy log. And I thought it looked softer than it was, but it was actually like, it was barreling on the inside, and it was pretty fun. It was like overhead and quite steep, and I got out and I was like, I'm probably not on the right board. But then I just kind of decided to start trying to pull in on my log, and that's all I did for like 2 hours.
Those are the funny sessions though, right?
It was so fun. Yeah, I actually loved it. So I'm pretty happy.
What's your quiver that you're rolling with at the moment?
I've got a 9.6 log that's from Boss down in from Hugh and Porthleven. So that's my longboard. I've got like an 8-footer from him as well at VBM. I'm surfing my longboard loads at the minute. I'm really into that, but I do kind of chop and change. And I've also got an 8-foot Northern Dawn mid-length, but that one's, it's really light. It's like epoxy, so I don't ride shortboards, but like it's like my 8-foot shortboard, so I surf that when it's a bit heavier. So not that varied, but longboard and mid-length basically.
I'm loving the fact that people are calling mini mals mid-lengths at the moment. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's a single fin. It's I don't know. It's a mini mal, whatever. Yeah. It's also got a deck grip. Mini mal with a deck grip.
Oh, do you know what? I've been contemplating deck grips. I've been looking at those, the hex ones.
That's what I've got on it.
Oh,
It's actually really good.
Is it
Like it it looks awful because I've waxed it once.
right?
Because I didn't like it without waxing it at all. But yeah, I waxed it once, and the North Sea is like brown, and there's
Mhm.
just the boards get so minging straight away. I surfed it like once at a particularly dirty spot, and it's just my whole board, which was white, is now brown. So it doesn't look very nice, but you never have to wax your board. Like I waxed it once, and then I've never waxed it again, which is good because I never have wax. So it's pretty handy.
So is
So
it a good recommendation or no?
yeah, I would go for it, especially if you don't care if your board's brown or you don't surf in the North Sea, um, or if you're good enough to just not wax it. I feel like my foot placement isn't perfect every time, so I would like sometimes slip. But someone who rips would probably be fine without wax.
Oh, really?
Maybe, I don't know. I like having wax on it, but yeah, I would recommend it for sure. It's not the most aesthetic thing, I don't think, but it works. So
I don't know. I've seen a lot of people with the old, the big strips of like deck grip. They're like big,
yeah,
yeah, they're massive. But there's a lot of people doing that, especially lads, not lads, people doing airs and stuff. They've
yeah.
got these big strips all the way the length of their board. And I was looking at it the other day, and a friend of mine actually, he puts them on his board as well. And I was like, oh, shall I get some or not?
Hmm.
I don't know. Is it a kooky thing to do? I don't know.
I didn't. I got the board off Steve, who's Northern Dawn. He shaped the board for himself, and I just borrowed it, and I liked it so much, and I was like, "Oh, can I buy it?" So, it already had like the hexy grip on it,
Okay.
and the deck patch. So that was my first experience with it, and I do like it. It's really handy.
Oh, really? Do you
So,
ever anyone that you go to with your boards for like shaping or anything, or do you just kind of one of those people that, sees a board and goes, I'm going to give that a go?
I mean, I when I first moved back to the UK, I got in touch with Josh Dimmery, and he shaped my boards. So I rode his boards for about a year, but unfortunately he passed away last year, like this time last year. So then after that, I was riding Hughes boards, like Boss surfboards, and I still ride Hughes now. So generally, I get them from Hugh. But then, yeah, as I say, I just rode one of Steve's Northern Dawn, and I really liked it, so I bought that one from him.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, I don't know, just kind of go with the flow.
How you finding the sea temperature these days? I went in a few weeks ago and it wasn't actually too bad. But then I went to the wave just before this new
Mm.
lockdown, and I had a little hole in the toe of my boot, and it went straight up my big toe and up my calf, and it was about 2 degrees in there too.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh my God, this is horrendous.
I've heard the waves freezing. I've never been down, but yeah, because I was gonna say it's not as cold down your way as it is up our way. But then I suppose if you surf in the wave, it actually is colder. So I was gonna give you a bit of a north south jib there for it not being cold where you are, but yeah, the wave is cold. Not that I've been, but 2 degrees is cold. And I heard that they had to break the ice on it the other day or something to surf it. I saw that somewhere.
Yeah, don't tell me that.
So mental. Yeah, no, I was saying at the start of the winter season, I was like, it's so warm. Like it's not getting cold this year, and I was not wearing boots or gloves for ages, like not putting my hood up, and all of a sudden it just got freezing. I don't know if you had any snow down your way, but it snowed up here quite a lot. Not at the beach, but where my parents lived, like half an hour from the beach, there was loads of snow there. And up in like the Cheviots and the Pennines, there's been loads of snow. So since that happened, it is like so cold. But it's like the air temperature was -5 the other day.
Oh, really?
It's the coldest I've ever been in the water. I thought I was going to get hypothermia numerous times. Um, and I've got a hole in the knee of my wetsuit as well. They never last me very long at all.
You need to
Ooh.
get the neoprene stuff and just glue it together. I think you can get it like off Amazon or something for a fiver maybe.
Yeah, yeah. I do need to do that. Anyway, I probably won't. I'll just carry on freezing. But yeah.
Or just invest in a decent suit every year.
I do. I literally got this. I got this one in October, and I don't know. I don't know why they just don't last.
Yeah, I've got really bad circulation, so I'm one of those blokes that has to wear boots, 5 mil boots when it's like in spring or autumn.
Oh no.
It's absolutely shocking. In
Yeah.
fact, I noticed it. I noticed it the most. I did a trip to Portugal a couple of years ago, and it was sort of like late September, early October. After about 20 minutes, my three small like from my small toe inwards, my three toes, they just went numb, and I was like, "What is going on?" I was like,
In
"Oh my
Portugal.
God, yeah."
Yeah, you wouldn't last. You wouldn't last up here. Like when I've got the luxury now of living next to the beach. So I mean, I'd never had that until this year, getting in the shower like straight after the surf, which should be like the most amazing experience ever. But I don't know if you've ever had it where you get in the shower when you've been so cold and then your feet go like all purple and like it's like they're gonna explode and they go really itchy. I don't know what it is. It's like the blood vessels bursting in your feet or something. But
Yeah, it's chilblains because all the blood
yeah,
from your body when you get cold, it gets sucked into your major organs, and then
yeah.
when you come back and you get warm again, yeah, you just get that burning sensation,
Oh
don't
my
you?
goodness. It's like so painful. It's yeah, yeah. So I've started showering on like one and then building my way up. But yeah, that's kind of a recurrent thing at the moment.
Let's talk a little bit about you then. So, where did you grow up and how did you get into surfing?
So I grew up near Newcastle, a place called Greenside. You probably won't have heard of it unless you're from Gateshead, but it's in Gateshead, not Newcastle, so south of the river. Um, so I didn't grow up in the water at all. Like it didn't even really go to the beach or bodyboard or anything. Like it didn't have that. My uncle has always surfed, weirdly, um, which is kind of a random thing. But my uncle's just really cool. Does everything. He's like snowboards, rides motorbikes, surfs, um, and I just didn't. I don't think I even really knew that he did surf, but he did. It just wasn't a part of my life at all. I grew up like obsessed with horses, so I just used to get dropped off at the stables and muck around with the horses and covered in horse poo all day, and I was dead happy. So that's kind of what I did when I was a kid, and an older kid as well. So then when I finished school and uni, I got a job. Well, the first one I got was in America, at a summer camp, and that was with horses. And then after that, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I moved. I just booked a flight to Australia, as you do, and I got a job with horses again. So, I had two jobs. The first one was in Geelong, which is near the Great Ocean Road, like near Melbourne, and I was at a farm there for 6 months. And it was when I was there that I started surfing because I was like, I was there for 3 months, and then I decided to extend my stay, but didn't really have like that many friends or anything to do. So, and I got a car at the same time, and because I was riding for work, I didn't really want to ride on the weekends. So I just, well, actually, it was what what got me into it. I don't know. I met a couple of people who surfed like in Geelong, and then I just ended up, yeah, buying a board and getting into it. I didn't have any lessons or anything. I just decided that I was going to do it, and I was absolutely terrible, like shocking, like shockingly bad. Like I can't believe what I did. and just driving to the beach on my own, getting in Torquay, like just the biggest kook ever. I had no idea what I was doing. You know, the people who go to the beach and they're like, "Ooh, there's less beach today," because the tide's like there's a high tide. I was literally like that. I was like, "Oh, there's not much beach today." Like, just absolutely no idea. And my first board I bought, and it was like a combo deal. So I got a board and a wetsuit together, and it was a mini mal. It was a definite mini mal, not a mid length, and it had pink hibiscus flowers on it. And my wetsuit that came with it was like this 80s retro rip curl bright blue suit. I'm like gutted that I don't have it anymore because it
Yeah, I
was
was going to
actually,
say, I love stuff like that. It's
yeah,
so cool.
it was really cool, but I had no idea what I was doing. And actually, that board ended up, my friend ran that board over with my own car eventually, which was a good thing because it was terrible. Um, yeah, so that's kind of how I got into it. I don't know how I carried on or how I eventually got better, but at some point, I started being able to actually lie on the board. I think standing up took about 3 months. Like it just wasn't like I was not good at all. Um, yeah, I'm surprised I didn't drown. So
It takes a while though when you're learning to do something like that. If you've never, you know, I take it you never skateboarded or anything like that before.
no, no,
Yeah, so the proprioception levels, like in your body, and you know,
yeah,
if you've never really done anything like that before, you know, your motor neurons in your body and how your body reacts in those situations, it probably took you a really long time for for your mind to make those pathways.
yeah, yeah, and especially because I didn't understand the ocean at all. Like it was like listening to. I remember listening to surfers talk and like it sounding like a foreign language. And then when I talk to like people who are just learning now, or if I talk to people who don't surf about surfing and I just forget, and then I'll start talking, and then I'll just see that look, and I'm like, I know what that look is because I'm just talking like a language they don't understand. But I teach like now as well, teach surfing. So it's amazing when I teach other people. I'm like, why was I so pig-headed that I didn't think that I should have had a lesson? Like, why did I not just get a lesson? Because people get better so much faster if they have someone who tells them who knows what they're doing.
Yeah,
Um,
I taught myself how to surf, and I think from a technical perspective now, when I look back at it, I have got so many bad habits that I'm trying to get rid of because if I
yeah.
had just had that lesson like you were saying, it probably would have alleviated that a little bit. But because I haven't, you know, I look at myself in pictures and videos and I just go, oh my God, like what do you look like? You look like a stiff board with your knees bent and stuff, and I hate it.
Yeah, no, no one likes videos of themselves unless you're really good.
Yeah, I mean that is the other thing though, isn't it?
Mm,
But at least you weren't one of those people that I when I when I used to tell people what I surfed when because I started when I was 14 and I mean I'm from the Midlands, so I'm from
mm,
Birmingham originally. So when I used to go back to school after I'd been on holiday or gone down to the coast when I could drive, I'd get people. I think that no, I'll tell you a story. There's this one lad, and he said that he was sponsored by Quicksilver.
hmm
Never even mentioned before that he'd surfed. And he was talking about getting barreled and he was saying really cringy things like I was in the green room and I was like,
Oh God.
when you just want to like get a little winch on the side of your neck and wind your head inside your body because it was so
Mhm.
awkward. At least you probably weren't like that person.
No. So I didn't, yeah, I didn't get to go through that phase of being a teenager. And but it's quite funny because a couple of the kids at school are getting into it, like the high school that I teach at, and like I know that they're just learning, but they'll come in and they'll tell me about how big it was and they surfed like a double overhead wave, and they're just like, oh, yeah, it's cool.
It probably is double overhead for them.
Probably, but no, because they're teenagers. They're like taller than
Ah,
me. So yeah.
yeah, fair one. What do you teach at school?
I teach maths at high school.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, yeah, I love it. It's cool. Like the school's really nice. It's only like 10 minutes from the beach, so and it's quite a small school because it's just a high school.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really nice school. I'm not there at the minute. Well, because of COVID. Um, I'm just in once a week and then teaching lessons from home, which is a bit weird.
Yeah,
Um,
how do you find that? Because I've got a couple of kids at home, and they've been doing a bit of homeschool. I think this week was the first week that they've been doing that.
mm.
Um, I'd like to get your perspective on that. You know, how is it for you to try and teach your pupils maths through Zoom or whatever it is?
Well, we're just starting doing like live lessons next week.
Oh,
So
really?
I've done them with my sixth form, so the last 2 weeks, because I wasn't teaching last year, so I didn't get the whole experience of it last year as well. So I've just kind of got it. This is my first. Um, I don't know what the word is. My first experience of it is these last 2 weeks. So for my sixth form, I think it's actually been really good because it's quite a small class and there's only 10 of them. So I almost feel like they've had more attention from me um, because I've not been in school. So I've been able to help them more. But then I don't know. I think it really depends on the kid, the the child's motivation as to how it'll work for them, and like their arrangements, what their home life's like if they've got a space that is conducive to work in. Um, so I think it does. There is negatives in a sense that it could like widen an education gap. Um, but I think there is the opportunity for it to be really good for some kids as well. Like the quality of teaching could almost be better because it's like I don't have to deal with behavior. Um, so I can teach to my best ability, but it just depends like whether they can engage with it. Um, and obviously the social aspect as well of not being in school. I don't like that. The idea of sitting in front of a computer all day when they would be in school doing the same lessons. Because it's just not, you don't have the social interaction, and I think it's quite heavy to stare at a computer all day.
Yeah, I can imagine that because I could imagine they also do a bit of online like learning, like the tasks that they set or the set of questions that they're set is through the computer. They log on, they fill them in, maybe send them to you or whatever. It must be quite difficult to try and like conduct a lesson, get
Mm.
them to answer, but you can't see their answers because you can't really mark it like a bit of paper.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I have been marking their work, but it takes ages because I'm trying to mark it on a PDF and I'm like drawing on the computer.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't think it's all bad, and I think we've just got to kind of roll with it for now and just make the most of it. Yeah, it's just the situation we're in, so you just have to make the best you can out of it. Um, but yeah, it would be good if we were back in school. I think that would be good when that happens.
Yeah, I was going to ask how you find, you know, the correlation between being able to go surfing and teaching and how you kind of fit all that in together.
Yeah, I mean, in basically when I qualified as a teacher, that's why I didn't. So I qualified like 2 years ago, and I didn't go straight into teaching because I just wanted to surf more. And my training year, my school was like 40 minutes from the beach, so like literally November through to January, it like start of November till the end of January was just like not feasible to surf like after school or before school. Like as soon, I think in November I still did. Like sometimes I'd get to the beach and I'd have literally 20 minutes, the sun's already gone down and I'm just surfing in the dark. Um During that time, that was when I would like on the weekend, if it was flat up here, that's when I would like drive down to Cornwall on a Friday night after school and then drive back on a Sunday afternoon. Did that quite a lot. Or drive up to Scotland. That's a good thing because it's like 7 hours south or 7 hours north, and then got here. So I do that on the weekend. But yeah, it was just, I really hated not being able to surf that much through the winter. So I didn't teach for a year, and then I travelled a bit and just surfed and started teaching surfing as well. Um, but this year, that it was when I saw the job advert for the school that I'm at. I was like, oh my god, I literally just want to teach at that school, like, because it's a really cool school, and it's like the emphasis is on like positivity and like the whole child being, happy. Like it's not super um like obviously results are the outcome, but it's not super results driven, and it's not super like high pressure in that way. Like it's just a really nice environment, but it's also 10-minute drive to the beach. So before we broke up, like literally the shortest days of the year, if the surf was good, I could literally leave at like 3:30, get to the beach and surf half an hour or like 20 minutes on the shortest day. But like I'm still getting in every day or whenever there is surf, so that's good. And then I just surf every weekend, unless it's flat, and then I just find something else to do.
Just go paddling.
Not really into paddling. No.
I'm not either.
No.
I got a paddleboard that I got maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I give that a go every now and again. But yeah, it's
Yeah, I got a paddleboard too, like 2 summers ago. Yeah, never use it. It was such a waste of money. Like no offense to paddleboarders or anything, because I've got loads of friends who paddleboard and paddleboard surf and stuff. I just find it really boring. I don't know.
the surfing side of it's not too bad. I have
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've took it to Saunton a few times and surfed it in some quite big stuff.
Oh, yeah, I don't think that would be boring. I just don't. I think it's really difficult paddleboard surfing. Like I've tried it. I feel like that takes immense coordination to have to deal with a paddle as well.
Yeah, the thing that I find a bit restrictive with it is one, like you say, the paddle, but then also I mean, because I've got a 9/8 paddleboard. It's quite thick as well. It's nearly 4 inches thick, so it's really wide and really thick. So standing up on it is pretty easy. It's not particularly difficult, but
Mm-hmm.
it's when you trying to maneuver it a little bit because it's a 9/6 and it's like a barge basically. You really have to like sit on the back fin to turn it. You
Mm-hmm.
can't really do what you may be able to do with the longboard, is where you could trim it a little bit. And then, if you do get stuck in the middle of the beach where there's quite a bit of white water come through, you're going to get nailed quite a bit.
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine. I'd
What do
probably.
the kids think of you being a teacher and a surfer as well?
Um, I think they think it's quite funny sometimes. Like I don't know hmm, what do they think? I have no idea what they think. Some of them probably don't care. Most of them probably don't care. Um, some
Let's
of
put
them.
let's put a switch reverse into it. What would you think of your teacher when you were at school if they were a surfer?
Well, there actually was a teacher who was a surfer at school, and we all did think that he was like the coolest teacher ever. Yeah, no, and I remember like a couple of my guy best friends fangirled over this male teacher so much that like thought he was the coolest thing in the world. I thought he was kind of cool. I wasn't too bothered, but yeah. No, I think some of them do think it's quite cool. Like there's especially, well, my head of department, so the head of maths, his daughter doesn't go to our school, but she's got into surfing. So she was really like excited when he told her that they hired me, and the she has a couple of friends who go to the school who also surf, and I don't teach them, but they'll, if I walk past, they're like, "Oh, Miss Grimes," and they'll just want to have a chat to me about surfing, or yeah. And I'd quite happily chat to them about surfing, but then I'd like ruin my lesson and not get done what needs to be done. But no, it is cool. And then um, one of the kids was like a little just not doing as well as he could do in my lessons, and another teacher told him, he's like, because he's really sporty, so another teacher was like, Miss surfs, like, why do you not like her? Like, you should get on. He doesn't surf or anything, but he'd think it was cool. And then the next lesson I had them, they were like, "Miss, do you surf?" And then they liked me a bit more. So I think it does help. And they see my boards on my car, and they'll be like, "Miss, have you been surfing this morning?" Um,
What, pulling salt out of the inside of your eyes and your ears and stuff.
yeah. I quite like it though, because I feel like I'd like to I'd like to encourage them to get outdoors more, and like I think it's cool for them if I come in and I've been surfing at like 7 a.m. and then I rock up at school and they're like so shocked that that is humanly possible to do. And I just think it's nice to kind of have that passion for something outside of school and for them to see that I have that, and hopefully that could get them to kind of, inspire them to.
100%. I think what you should do at your school is you should recreate. Have you seen that black and white photo of the
Yeah,
American
yeah,
teacher?
yeah. Yeah,
One
actually,
plus one equals tubes.
yeah. I love it, but really lame. But I did recreate it, not in
Oh
school.
no.
But yeah, no, because the guy
You
who
got to send me that photo.
no,
Come on, you got to send
no,
me it.
the guy who runs the surf school,
Okay.
well, the water sports company who I teach surfing with, wanted like pictures of what we're doing now, and he wanted a picture of me teaching, and I don't have any pictures of me teaching, so I just set that up and recreated that picture. But nope, I'm not gonna give it to you because it's really embarrassing.
No.
Yeah, it's a cool picture though.
I bet it is.
Not
Do
the
you
one
know
of
what?
me, the original.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I reckon both of them would be equal.
yeah, maybe.
How
um,
did you get into surf coaching then?
um, that was just kind of natural progression, I guess. Um, Basically, every vocation I've ever done has been teaching. Like I just like teaching. Um, so I taught horse riding first, and then I taught maths, and then I got my surf coaching. It was just this kind of saw an opportunity because I knew that Kev, who runs the KA Adventure Sports where I work in summer, wanted to start doing surf lessons, and they didn't have a surf coach. So then, and it's in Northumberland, so like it's not like in Cornwall. There's a pool of surf coaches. Like, there wasn't a surf coach, so I just decided to get my surf coaching so I could start doing that with Kev, and it went really well. So I started that 2 summers ago, and then like last summer was the first full summer we did, and it was really really good and really busy, which I'm sure was the same down there, just with like lockdown and everyone holidaying at home. Like, yeah, it was good.
How'd you find teaching surfing? Because I used to teach surfing probably for about 10 years,
Did you?
in the military and out of the military,
Uh-huh.
moonlighting, let's call it.
Hmm.
And I I really did enjoy it. It was really good, but I think this is going to be a negative. Yep, hence the grumpy surfer. I start with a positive and end with a negative.
Go on then. What's the negative?
I kind of got a little bit not bored. I kind of lost the drive of it a little bit because
Hmm.
you were teaching the same thing over and over again. You were
Hmm.
teaching this is the board, this is the deck, this is the rails, this is the nose, this is how you pop up into the water. And you
Yeah, yeah.
kind of got into the process of saying the same thing over and over again a little bit, and just after a little bit of time, it just kind of grated on me, and I think I just lost my not my passion for it. I
Hmm.
really enjoyed seeing people get up. I think it was like when you can just hear yourself pressing record on the tape player and saying the same thing over and over again. It kind
Yeah,
of went
yeah.
that way a little bit.
I know what you mean. So I think like I totally get where you're coming from. Um, I think the reason that that didn't happen so much, like I didn't get the same feeling as we had like a quite a cool little like community of kids who would um who started just coming for lessons, and then they'd like keep coming and they'd really progress. And it was quite nice because we got to the point where like we weren't just doing that introductory lesson every time. Like we had a lot of people coming back who were taken out back, and like so the lessons weren't necessarily the same every time, because I do agree, like if you're doing that same introductory lesson every time, it could get a little bit like soul destroying, just a little bit boring. But we had like good variety, because we were running like kids clubs every day and would get like the same kids coming back, and then we had some adults who were like, keep coming back and trying to progress. And then luckily my boyfriend is a very good surf coach who's like level 2 trained, so he's like got a lot of experience, so he taught me a lot as well, like taught me a lot about teaching and like how to teach it well, and just little noticing little things, and adapting your lessons so that they're not the same. So maybe after 10 years it would start to drag, but I don't know. I think if you keep it interesting and then keep like trying to be creative, if you've got the ability to do like that, like if you've got the scope, like for example with Kev, like he's really supportive for me to kind of try whatever I want to try, and like set up a new club or do a stupid warm up or just play games with them, teach the kids lifeguarding. Like I wasn't just doing the same thing.
I think you just hit the nail on the head a little bit, because I think my part of what my problem was, I was dipping in and out of things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All the people that I was teaching with, the instructors, they were different every single time.
Yeah.
And you probably seen from, especially during the summer, every single time you take a lesson, if it's not a kids club, it's just different people.
Mm-hmm.
So I never really saw the progression in people. Now I think if I had been a little bit more like permanently based, let's use Croyd as an example.
Yeah.
And I was part of the kids club, or the Groms club or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and you saw that progression of what you're telling them to do. I think that would probably keep it going a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's like the old classic 90s cliche, isn't it? Those who can teach.
Mm-hmm. Wait, is that what it is? Those who
I think it was.
Something else.
You're probably going to tell me I'm wrong.
No,
I'm gonna Google it after this. It's probably going to be wrong.
I'm sure it's like those who can't teach, isn't that the thing?
No.
When I did my teacher training, they said like there was this like jokey thing. Those who yeah, it's like those who can't teach. That's the first thing that that comes up. So basically, I've lost you now. I've just googled those who can't do, and no, those who CA. That was all I put in, and then the first one was can't do teach. So those who can't do teach, Google says it.
I think that's wrong.
I can't ride, I can't surf, I can't do maths. Just happen to teach them.
Sounds an absolute fair point. I'm going to take this conversation in a completely different direction now.
Okay.
What is the surf scene like in the northeast? Because if I go past Bristol, I get a nosebleed. So
what? What is? I don't get it. What do you mean?
It's too high in the country. I get a nosebleed because it's too far north.
Oh right, okay. Sorry, I didn't. I didn't get it. I thought you meant like someone was. If you went to Bristol, people would punch you. Like you might get.
No one's going to do that.
Okay. Okay, good. So I mean, yeah. What's the surf scene like in Newcastle? It's getting very busy since lockdown. Like the beach at Tynemouth is heaving, but it's generally there's a good group. Like you see the same people everywhere at different spots. I am not one to kind of surf just one beach. I like to go. I've got like a 2-hour radius of the coastline where I'll just kind of go. and it's cool because you will see the same faces like 2 hours north, 2 hours south, because there's people who live down Saltburn Way who will like come up for the same swells that we'll go up for, stay down for the same swells that we'll go down for, and that's quite cool, in a sense, because you just see the same people, but you don't know them outside of surfing, but there is a really good like community, and you see the same faces all the time because it's not like too busy that everyone becomes faceless. Nice in that sense that it is still small, so that you can kind of have that connection with people even if you don't speak to them, but you're just like, oh yeah, there's that guy, I saw him at that spot the other week. Yeah, he's all right. um there's a few people coming from other countries at the minute. Like I've seen a few more like South Africans and Aussies around, like ripping, putting us all to shame. But yeah, no, there's a good scene. There's kids getting into it. As I say, Tynemouth, like the beach where people go when they're just kind of learning, generally is really really busy at the minute. So that should be cool because there'll be like more kids, and there's some rippers, some like really young kids who just go in the middle of winter, which is so cool because it's freezing and they're just, yeah.
I tell you about like coincidences and stuff. I think the last like month or so, I've seen so many photos and edits coming from the northeast. You know, some decent swells coming through, and I didn't realise how many different types of reef break that there are up there as well. And I was really quite shocked, if I'm perfectly honest. I don't know why I was shocked, but I was just like that. No, this can't be it.
Do you know what? Like, I don't think I've even sold it well enough. Like the northeast surf scene is awesome. Like, it's so cool. I especially love seeing. So my uncle, as I mentioned earlier, that my uncle has surfed since he was 15. He started surfing. Like he surfed on and off. But when I first came back from Australia, so I've been back for what, like 3 or 4 years now. He didn't surf that much, but just after New Year, basically he made this New Year's resolution that this year he's going to get barreled, because he's in his 50s. He's surfed since he was 15, and he's never got barreled. Yeah, so he's just made this, like, he surfs longboards a lot, and I don't think he's particularly tried to get barreled. So he's made it his goal this year to get barreled. So he has actually been out loads more, like since New Year. So I've surfed with him like 4 or 5 times in the last week or two, which has been really cool. But I didn't realize how many people who I knew from surfing, and they're all like, "Oh, Angus!" Like that, everyone knows him, and like, yeah, it's just cool. So all the old boys know each other, and they know everyone else, and everyone just knows everyone. And everyone doesn't realize that someone's your uncle or whatever, but there's like weird connections everywhere.
It's good like that to have a close, almost like a close knit community where you can go to these different places and breaks. I mean, do you have? It's gonna sound really cheesy. Do you have like a WhatsApp group going where you kind of go, you know, we might be going here? Or I remember I spoke to somebody a while ago about this, and like, you know what? I want to go to a place and there's no one there. I mean, I'm like that myself. I'll get up like you. I'll get up before it's light, and I'll go down to a spot, and there'll be no one there, and I'll be out there, and then 30 minutes into like the sun coming up, it just gets absolutely swarmed.
Yeah. I mean, I like surfing on my own as well, but like, I prefer surfing with like 2 or 3 people. I think it just makes it a bit more fun than surfing completely on your own. Yes, there is a WhatsApp group, and it is called Shred Alert.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
I am a part of, which is, I really really love it. I just I just randomly got added, like, and I don't know that many people in it. There's maybe like 15 dudes in it, and they're all like, I don't know, they're all like older than me, like 10, 15 years older than me. And they just chat so much shit. And as
That's
well as
generally what groups do these days. It might be a surfing group, but they'll talk about anything other than that.
I know, I feel like I've got like an insight into a generally men's only WhatsApp group, and they're just weird. Like, they're really strange. But they do talk, like, oh, who's going here today? But generally, we don't even surf together. Like, they just talk about surfing and post pictures of where they've been after they've been. Yeah, no, it is funny here because, like, there are spots, like, there's definitely secret spots where you just I wouldn't tell Shred Alert. I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm here. I don't tend to tell Shred Alert where I am most of the time, but I will generally go surfing with like one or two others. I don't like going somewhere with like 10 people because it's going to be busy. But no, it is cool to be a part of and just to kind of see where was working and where I missed out on and see all the banter.
How do you see the surf scene for women in the UK and the Northeast? And I know you said you've been down to the to North Devon
Yeah.
quite a lot. What's your perspective on the women's surf scene within the UK at the moment?
I mean, I think it's in the UK. I think it's really accessible in terms of like accessing the sport as a beginner. Like, I don't feel like there's any disparity at all. The Northeast community is really, really positive towards women at the minute. Like, I can't talk for any time when I've not been here in the community. So I don't know if it's always been like that, but I've always felt really encouraged. Like, when I first came back and I wasn't as good or as confident, and I'm not saying I'm brilliant now, but I'm like, you finding your feet at certain spots. Like, I'd always find that the guys were almost like even more encouraging. This where I was surfing tonight, there was a girl who surfs in Tynemouth as well, and she hadn't surfed the spot before, and she was a bit nervous. Like, and she had said to me she was a bit nervous before we went out, so we paddled out together. And I was like, I haven't surfed here either. I was gonna like paddle out at the other end of the beach where we probably shouldn't have paddled out because it was I didn't know, but the sweep was going that way. So we ended up following one of the guys out, and generally I find it really supportive. I don't know about Cornwall as much because I haven't spent as much time there. Yeah, it's hard to put my own, like, because every experience that I have isn't necessarily because I'm female. So, like, if I've had a bad surf, or if someone's been a bit of an arse in the water, like, you can't say whether that's because it's because I'm a woman or not. Like, I don't think you can.
Here's a question for you. I was reading an article the other day. Look, I'm one of these people that I really enjoy watching, especially the WSL, the pros. I really enjoy watching women surfing because I find there is a lot of power in it. There's a lot of power surfing in it. There are, Chris and Moore, you got your Tyler Wrights, you got some really, really good, surfers. But I find the technical aspect when you watch women surfing, it is a lot more prominent. And when I was reading this article, it might have been a podcast I was listening to. They were talking about the disparity between when males and females are at school, when they finish and then they go off and go and do their careers or whatever. The guys generally will stick to like playing football until like they're, I don't know, 50, 60 years old, where I don't know, women kind of tether out of that and then go towards like their careers or families or whatever it is. How do you see that sort of like aspect of it? Because I didn't really think of it that way. And then it would have to be like an individual's prerogative then to kind of go, well, do you know what? I want to go surfing, or any sport really. I want to go and do gymnastics or ballet or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. It's not something I've really thought about. I just feel like maybe I'm just thinking about myself and being too selfish.
But surfing is kind of a selfish sport anyway, isn't it? And I think it's one of those things as well, is that you need to try lots and lots of different things. I mean, this day and age, we're talking about this COVID period where everyone's at home. They're not allowed to do a lot of things. The outdoors is there to provide you with some entertainment. And if you don't try lots of outdoor activities, maybe like it's walking, maybe it's surfing, maybe it's climbing, windsurfing or some, even paddleboarding. Unless you try those, regardless of what gender you are or how old you are, you might find something that you super enjoy, or you might not, but at least you've tried it.
I mean, no, I think in terms of the article, like, I could imagine that being the case, and I hope that things are changing at schools now when kids are younger. like in terms of that disparity between men doing sport when they're older versus women. Like I'd like to think that there's kind of like equal encouragement to both in school, and that's what I see in school now. That like I don't necessarily want to encourage girls to like get into sports more, but like there's just you know just being a woman, you're naturally going to be more of a role model to girls, which is really cool. And I do naturally just kind of want to push them like, oh, just go and like try this sport, or just get outside and do this, or you know, like just get them to kind of develop a passion for something outside of like just the stuff that they have to do, which I think we need to encourage kids to do, because I think if they're not encouraged to like develop a passion, they're not going to necessarily have those like hobbies when they get older or see the benefit of that. So I do think that's something you have to instill when you're young.
I think giving them the opportunity to do that, though, like I was saying, a couple of minutes ago, is about giving that opportunity to try lots of different things, and they can have say, "Yeah, I don't like that." My example for me is really my daughter. She's tried lots of different things: basketball, netball, football, rugby, and now, which I'm really happy about because you can see I'm happy about it. she loves doing jiu-jitsu. It's one of my passions as well. My little boy, he's 3, and he's going, "Oh, I want to go surfing with you." I think the last time I took him out last summer, I took him out of the inflatable SUP, and it was like 2 foot. He fell off and went under the water, and for about 2 months he was like that. I went under the sea.
Oh, it's so cool getting little kids in the sea. Like, yeah, I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I think that's probably, I think a lot of it, if you've had you luck, like your kids are lucky because you like encourage that, and I think that's what we need to like try and do. And not all kids are necessarily encouraged to do sports or try different activities, or they don't have the means to do it, which is I think where schools kind of, and that's well, one of the downsides to everything that's going on at the minute is that then they're also not getting that encouragement from schools where they'd normally be doing PE, and then there'd be like the extracurricular stuff. And if COVID wasn't a thing, I would 100% have a surf club at school, and well, like health and safety permitting and all that. But it's something I would really want to do, but we can't do that at the minute, which I do feel bad for the kids that they're like stuck inside, and they're, unless there's someone at home like pushing for them to get outdoors or to try these things, like they're kind of that's what I feel like they're missing out on most with the lockdown.
I'm going to change this a completely different way again now. I want to talk a little bit about your prowess in bigger waves. I've seen quite a few photos of you on your longboard. Some double overhead stuff. How you find charging that?
You know how I said before I was like pig-headed when I started learning to surf, just really determined. Determined would be the positive word. As I got better, I would always look at like one person, and I remember when I was really rubbish, and I was just learning, watching a guy going backwards and forwards in the white water in Australia and standing up every time, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I was like, all I want to be able to do is that. Like, so all I want to be able to do, and I'll be happy. And then I feel like that just kept progressing, and then I'd be able to do that, but I wouldn't realize that I could do that yet. And then I'd be looking at the next person. I was like, why can't I do that? I just want to be able to do that. Then I guess I started looking at waves rather than people, and I was like, but that person can surf that wave, I want to surf that wave. And I don't know. I think when I came back from Australia, I was worried that I wasn't going to get to surf as much, and to be honest, I wasn't that good when I came back from Australia. Like I would paddle out over there in stuff that I shouldn't have paddled out in, just which it gives you experience, but then it's also stupid. But then how do you get better if you don't, keep going out in stuff that challenges you? And I think I just kept going out, and I'd get that little bit better in those conditions, and then I'd like it would be a bit bigger, and I'd just be like, oh, I can do it. Like, but then I'd watch on YouTube, like because I was doing it on longboards and surfing waves that like loads of people surf on shortboards. I remember when I first started surfing like reefs and I went up to Thurso. I was just Googling like Ben Skinner at Thurso just to see someone surf it on a longboard. I was like, right, it's doable. And then I'm saying, no, Ben Skinner can do it, I could do it. I'm like, looking back, like that's not a thing that I should say just because he can do it, I can do it on a longboard. But that's what started getting me out. And then I just, you get a couple of good waves and you're just like, yeah, I can do it. And then you just keep going. And then you see photos and you're like, that's me. I can definitely do it. And then it gets bigger the next time and you're still like, but I don't know, before I think about it, I just paddle out and just kind of see what happens. And then I don't really think about it. I just, yeah, just do it.
I think longboarding definitely gets overlooked as a type of board. I think it has almost a negative outlook on it too. I mean, I learned to surf on a longboard, and I enjoy surfing longboards far more than I do shortboards.
Same.
But I enjoy the speed of a shortboard. I enjoy being able to turn on a coin, and I've got lots of different boards. I just enjoy being able to get the wave count in, and I enjoy. I'm going to use inverted commas, cross stepping and nose riding a little bit.
Yeah.
I enjoy that, but I almost feel like I use a longboard really as a smaller wave board, like waist to shoulder high, probably smaller than that. And then if it gets bigger, I'll get my shortboards out. But I was trying to think the other day why I would do that, and why don't I take a longboard with me? And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've surfed a lot of really decent breaks around here, and you know
Yeah.
what? I've got a nice longboard nose rider on the way in March that I'm like, do you know what? I'm just going to do more of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's not even so much size, it's the type of wave that you surf in, but then also like one longboard is so different to another one. So like the log I have at the minute is not really great in bigger waves or like steeper, heavier waves because it is quite slow. But then I have had and that's what it's made to do. Like it's made for smaller waves. But I've had longboards in the past that I've surfed like 9-footers that I'll surf in double overhead, and they they just you're going to make the wave like that without generating your own speed. It's almost easier because they go faster than if you're just on a shortboard and you're not generating the speed. So it's like I could kind of surf those waves and just kind of go with it and not rely on my skill so much and still be able to make them. So I think it's almost easier on some waves to surf a longboard. I mean, there are waves where people are like, why are you surfing this on a longboard? But I'm like, well, I'm making the waves, so whatever. Yeah, you get in a bit earlier, and then I don't know. I just like big boards. I feel like they go faster without me having to do that much. So
I feel you. 100%.
maybe I'm lazy. I don't know. I just love them. I hate shortboards. Like I used to ride a shortboard when in Australia, and then I actually did the opposite. I started smaller and then I got bigger, like bigger with my boards. Yeah, and I've got like shorter boards and I can still turn them. So
Mid-lengths.
not doing anything. Yeah, mid length. Not doing anything super radical,
Yeah.
but I can still have radical waves. So although I'm not doing anything particularly epic, still feels good. So that's the main thing, isn't it? That's what it's all about. If it feels good.
Where do you see your surfing going, and where do you see traveling in the future is going to take you?
Basically, I want to surf really solid waves every day, like just pump and surf every day, and that would be the dream. Like I quite enjoy holidays and not working. Like those holidays where you go abroad. I haven't done any for a while because of COVID, but I don't know if you remember what they're like. But oh my god, they're amazing. Like you just bum around and you surf whenever you want, and then you're not as obsessed or as mental about surfing because you can just go when you want to go and you don't have to be as like driven to make it happen. I feel like that's almost the problem here is that it's so inconsistent that when it's good, you have to be like a maniac. Like you just have to sack everything off and make it happen. Whereas I love going away when it's like good every day. Like I went last year. I went to Indonesia, um, and I did another trip in New Zealand. New Zealand was like the best place I've ever been. I loved it so much.
Where did you surf there?
I drove around the North Island, so I just went for 5 weeks, and I bought a car the day I got there, and sold it the day I left, which was really really good. So I didn't spend that much money, which was amazing. And I just went around the North Island where it was good. So obviously I surfed Raglan. I went up to like the far north where there's some really good points. Um,
There's a film that I think you really might like.
mhm.
Have you seen it's a needs essential film? So you know the brand Needs
Oh, the
Essential.
Torren Martin one.
Yeah, have you seen
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have seen that. It's
Oh
pretty
my
cool.
God, I must have watched that about 10 times, and I
Yeah.
think Tara Martin's my new man crush. I think.
Oh, I totally feel you on that. Like, yeah. And his surfing is I don't know. Yeah, his surfing is unreal. Um, I love his surfing, and it suits the waves in New Zealand, and the waves in New Zealand are just amazing. So I definitely see myself moving to New Zealand because yeah, it's just amazing and it's quiet. And no, anyway, I need to stop talking about how good it is. Otherwise, it won't be quiet. It's not that good.
Yeah,
Don't,
you'll finish this and you'll just curl up in the ball and start crying.
honestly, don't go to New Zealand. It's the worst place in the
Yeah.
world.
I tell you that little story. It was absolutely heartbreaking for me last year. So you know when the first lockdown kicked in,
Uh-huh.
I think it. I think I know it. It was the 17th of March. 17th of March, and that was on a Tuesday.
Hmm.
And the following Monday, I was supposed to go to Morocco for 2 weeks,
Oh
and
no.
it was and the swell forecast was absolutely pumping. And I was watching Magic Seaweed, and I was watching Anchor Point, and then when they said that, I was like, oh,
That's
and
so
then,
devastating.
oh, I was so gutted. I was the unhappiest person for about 2 months after that.
Yeah, I can imagine. I was so lucky because I just got back from New Zealand when everything kicked off, but like kind of wish that I had just got stuck there and not come back. But
Well, you
no,
seen there's a few articles that were out, maybe 2 or 3 months in, that were up online, like the Inertia and a few other like online magazines, and there were people that were stuck out in the middle of like the Mentawis that couldn't get back,
mm,
and they were just there on their own surfing these empty lineups, and I was like, that why can't that happen to me?
I know that would be mental, but instead, you know, it's pumped one day out of 7, 12. I don't know how many days since the last good swell, and it wasn't even that good. But you've just got to make the most of it, haven't you? And then as soon as it's over, go and get all the waves.
All of them.
Hmm.
Right. What I'd like to do is just finish this up, if that's all right with you, Emily.
Yeah,
I'm going to do a quick fire round with you.
a quick fire. Oh my goodness, I'm not good at quick fire.
So every single time I have said quick fire when I've done this, and I've done it a lot, is it always ends up being about 10 or 15 minutes anyway, so it's not really a quick fire round.
Okay.
Okay, so if you could surf one fin setup on a surfboard for the rest of your life, would it be single fin, twin fin, thruster, bonzer, quad, or
Hmm.
finless, or as someone put to me yesterday, 2+1?
So it was two plus one's an option. So
Two plus one's an option.
that's a cop out though. So
Yeah, well, that's what I thought, but it was
does
there.
that mean I can have it as a single fin or as with side bites in?
Yes, if you would like
Yeah, so
to.
that's two different setups. So I'd easily go for the 2+1 because
Okay, well, let's take that out of the option, and I'll rephrase it again.
okay, no, that's fine. So not if I can't have 2+1, all I surf at the minute is single fins. I like the idea that I could surf a thruster as well because there are times when I would like a thruster and where I have enjoyed a thruster. So I wouldn't want to just surf single fins. But if I had to choose one, I'd say single fins because that's all I really surf at the minute. So
Favorite surfer and why?
Moniz.
Yeah, Kalian and Moniz, the Hawaiian surfer.
Hawaiian, yeah. And
Yeah.
she's pretty cool. She like surfed until she was, I don't know how many weeks as a whole pregnancy, but like she basically.
Oh yeah, no, I know who you mean now. Yeah, well,
And,
no, I do know who you mean.
yeah, and she also surfed chopes, like massive chopes without a leash on a log, on a single fin log. And she got absolutely nailed, but it's epic. An epic video. So yeah, I think she's really cool.
The last surfing film you watched?
Oh, we watched Chasing Mavericks the other night.
The first surf film you ever watched?
Definitely Point Break. Best film.
Dream surf trip?
So we are planning a surf trip down the west coast of Africa in a 4-wheel drive, and I really hope that happens. That would be pretty dreamy, and I hope that I don't like get eaten by a shark. If that doesn't happen,
you're going to get yourself down to Skeleton Bay, are you?
I don't know that I want to surf that. We'll see. But that way.
Emily Grimes, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
And that's it. If you're enjoying the podcast, please like, share and subscribe on your podcast provider, and also follow The Grumpy Surfer on Instagram. Thanks for listening.